I show everybody, you guys can join at www.patreon.com/but I'm not a trader but I'm not a trader. Before, I completely lock the Patreon and everything gets pushed out to my new website. And that's going to be, like I said before, a minimum of 500 to 700 bucks for everything. Right. So today we're going to be going into sort of daily predictions and support and resistance and key levels, right? And this is just kind of free sauce for you guys of what I do. As far as support and resistance, we're going to start at the weekly, right? And then we can kind of go down a little bit. But usually what I like to do on the weekly is go into the week time frame on TradingView, right? And usually how I set my support and resistance is I essentially just kind of try to hit the most wicks, right, on any kind of on any points of interest, right? So you have a point of interest here, right? We'll call it that point of interest right there. And what we're doing is we're trying to get as many wicks to touch, right, from here and from here without going into the candle. So immediately I can tell you that right there, that's going to be our first support line right there. And because we don't have any more, there's no reason for us to go anywhere down here, right? There really is no reason for us to go any lower because we're not going to be falling all the way back down there, right? It's just really that simple. You could, if you wanted to, put some support right here. Again, you're touching wick, and then wick right here, going all the way up. And just like that, you want to make sure you don't go above a candle, and then boom, there. That's it right there. For the weeklies, it's a lot easier because you're already at highs and you haven't had any kind of resistance before, right? Historically, so usually what I do is I set it right on the right on the closes, right? Because these are the most wicks touching. So wick, and then again here. And then again, more than likely, right somewhere around this range right there, right? As of right now, everything above this is price discovery, right? If you go into the daily, right, you can kind of go in here and sort of modify this a little bit so it can be a little bit more to what you guys are looking for, right? So we'll do that. This one we can bring a little bit lower to maybe like right there, here, right? This looks to be pretty. I'll do it right here because you're hitting more wicks there, right? Oops. For this one, I'd argue this is probably the better option, putting this right there on the daily, maybe here in the middle. Right there for previous support right there. And that's kind of it. That's kind of your setup right now for as far as, support and resistance. At least your major levels, right? And right now, see, you already had two nice wicks up there on the 4 hour. You can essentially just put your resistance right there, right? So you've already indicated a clear top, right? Clear top. So right now, there's really only two options, right? You can either come back down all the way to 495, or you can probably go a little bit more in depth, right? And look for previous areas of support on a lower time frame, right? So the same thing here. You can go down on the 15 and get as many wicks as you possibly can to touch. So it would be right there on the 15. And there you go, right? You're kind of sitting around this area, and I would not be surprised to see us just, pop from here. Or if you actually break lower and break these lows right here, right? Which looks like it's going to happen. Looks like you're going to break this low right here. The next stop for you is probably going to be two areas, right? And again, this is more if you're going to be trading on the daily, right? If you're going to be intraday, then this is going to be your more important zones right here, right? If you're doing like daily options or things like that, then obviously you want to know these levels. If you're swing trading like for a couple of weeks or months or a couple of days, this isn't too important for you. You should stick to like the dailies and the weekly time frames. But again, you'd set up your resistance or your support down there, and you'd set up some sort of, I'd say, there you go, your more support like right there, just because you have more wicks touching. I'd say right there. So these would kind of be your general areas of interest right here, right? And you see how you're still holding up this level on the 15, right? You came back down, immediately came back up, right? So that immediately tells me that you have a lot of area of support here. So you can definitely have this, right, running. And again, if you have like indicators and stuff to let you know what's a good entry, like right now, right? You did have a bull close right here. immediately gave it up and another bull close. So if in 8 minutes, right, this actually ends up like for me, I would personally take something like this where I would set it up at liquid. And this is something that I go more in detail into in the Patreon and other things. So I wouldn't go more in detail here. But if we close a bull trigger, right, a red dot above this line, I take this long. I would have two areas of take profit, right? My first area of take profit would probably be up here, right? 499, then 4997, and then finally I'd have this area of take profit at 500, right? But again, that's only if we close a little red dot here. And again, in the Patreon, I actually show you guys what all this means. But again, as far as areas of like key areas of support and resistance, that's basically how I set up my key support and resistance. And for SPX, right, if you're looking at SPY or you're looking at any of these levels right now on the weekly, you're really just looking at this, right? You're really only looking at, again, this is more, we went in the daily, right? That's more in detail. There you go. So if you're looking at the daily, you're really looking at this, right? You can get rid of this. These are going to be your areas. If you want to short, you would short from here all the way down to 495, right? If this breaks, you short that to 490. If that breaks, you short it to 485. If that breaks, short it to 479. If that breaks, short it to 469. So you have a big $10 drop right here, right? And I'd argue, and more than likely, this is going to be another level on support on daily, like right there, right? Just because you have wick, and wick right there, right? You have a really good area of support right there. So I'd argue this is going to be, these would be like your daily levels on the SPX, your key levels, right? And you can basically take this into any other ticker, right? So you'd go into the NASDAQ or Apple or Tesla or coin, right? And essentially you would look at the weekly to start off your time frames, right? You would look for the most wicks that are touching on points of interest, right? So your points of interest are going to be just, literally points, right? So point up here, you have a point down here, points, point, right? So you're literally going to this and saying, oh, okay, I'm gonna get a horizontal line, this one, and then I'm gonna see how many wicks, right? How many little lines I can touch all together, right? So you're basically just going down until you hit as many wicks before you start hitting actual candles, right? You see that? Before you start hitting the actual candles themselves. So that's basically it. That's how I set my support and resistance and my key levels. I hope that helps you guys out. I'll see you guys later and have a great day. Bye-bye.